Get the Friendo Club set up today and get access to over 700 Going in Raw bonus episodes, our monthly Big Blue predictions challenges, and the ability to ask questions at Going in Raw. We also offer the Steve and Larson comic book and exclusive Friendo Club t-shirt. Just hit join here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson or go to patreon.com/Steve and Larson to sign up. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, we've got your hot takes that we're going to respond to. And given that it's been all the rage since Saturday night's main event, we're going to talk about Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, because this first hot take is from Luis Raul Vassallo, who says Kevin Owens should be the face of WWE. Right now, that is kind of like, the Cody Rhodes role. He's the champion of the company. He's the guy they send on all the media stuff.
That's true.
He's basically the face of WWE.
I mean, you can make the argument that Roman Reigns is the face of WWE. But for the sake of discussion here, whether it's Kevin... Did you see Kevin Owens tweeted that he's going to be defending the Winged Eagle title?
Oh, I didn't see that he's going to be defending it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. I love that. That is amazing.
Well, he says, I'll be competing in my first matches as your new true WWE champion. So it's not like he's going to defend it. He's going to be competing as champion. That's different. That's not necessarily defending the title.
So this is a story beat that somebody on the Wrestle Juice thing mentioned as, if they're going to have Cody vacate the title, which I don't think they're going to go that far, but clearly they've written him off for at least a couple weeks with this cervical inflammation or whatever
something
it is.
Like that. Yeah,
something like that.
Something like
and
that.
So with the events of what happened after the show, with him and Triple H getting into a bit of an encounter and him holding up that Winged Eagle title, the next logical step is, of course, for Kevin Owens to declare himself the real world's champion.
Well, it says here the true.
However he wants to refer to it, it's the real world's championship now. And I think it's great. So he acts like he's the champion until Cody comes back. I think that's awesome. That's fantastic. Now, that's not the question. The hot take here is Kevin Owens should be the face of the WWE. What's your take on that? What's your take on the take? Heavy sigh.
I'm thinking.
He's thinking about it.
I love Kevin Owens. I think he's one of the best all-around performers in all of wrestling. He's a fantastic wrestler.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic promo. He's a good face. He's a great heel.
Mm-hmm.
He can do it all.
Yeah.
And I think he could. I definitely think he could. I think there's a lot of people in WWE that could be the face of the company. We said this before, that the level of talent is so high now, and the depth across the company is so deep. There's probably at least a dozen people, if not more, a WWE roster that you could look at and say they could easily be the face of the company. And I would put Kevin Owens on that list. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think he could. Should he be? I mean, the way Cody got an immediate fan response when he came back, I'll put it this way. Once Cody competed in a Hell in a Cell match with one pectoral muscle, I think it kind of solidified him as, he's going to be the next guy.
Yeah.
I think that's really, in a lot of ways, what kind of solidified his spot as, face of the company, is his willingness to go through with that match, a match of that level, with that level of physicality, coming off a severe injury just days prior, getting through it to deliver for the fans, showed the company we can rely on this guy, even when he's not 100%, when he might be 65%. He'll be there. He's going to deliver. We can trust him. And so I think after that point, it was kind of inevitable that Cody was going to be the face going forward after he beat Roman. Not to say they couldn't create a story. It's going to take one story and a couple really good moments that I think you could get Kevin Owens to that place, but they haven't done it yet. So until they do, I'm hesitant to think that they're intent on making Kevin Owens the face of the company.
Kevin Owens has always been a better heel than a face, and I don't think a heel is going to be the face of the company. I think that they had a moment in time.
Roman was.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a unique situation, though. That was a unique situation. Roman was, that was kind of, I mean, that's a whole different can of worms. But in terms of being like a Cena, a Hogan, like your traditional face of the company, Cody's kind of the next iteration of that.
Yeah.
And Kevin Owens, I think there was a window of time when if Vince McMahon wanted to roll it with Kevin Owens as like the next Stone Cold. I think that could have worked. I really do. And I know I've mentioned that before. And like some people have been like, no, there's only one Stone Cold. I get it. But like in terms of being an anti-authority figure, I honestly think Vince saw a lot of that in Kevin Owens and that's why he kind of would waffle on him as a heel or a face. I think he's like the one guy that he trusted to headbutt him in the head, to headbutt him.
Yeah.
Like as a shoot that one time. I feel like the window of opportunity for him to be that character is closed. I think that there's too much history for him to now be, the guy who they're going to put on media appearances and stuff like that as like the face of WWE, because traditionally, and we could have a conversation about like the Roman Reigns thing. But, traditionally they want that sort of golden boy guy, I mean, there's others, like you said, a dozen might be high. But yeah, there are a number of people that could have been in a different universe face of the company. You and I talked, I think, a couple of weeks ago about Big E. If the planets aligned in terms of his creative and whatnot, Big E could have been a face of the company guy.
Yeah.
In terms of like how history has played out right now, when you look at the roster, I'd go lower than a dozen, but I wouldn't go fewer than 6. I'd say between 6 and 10 people that could potentially be face of the company. But I mean, Cody clearly has everything. And I think you're right about the torn pec thing. I think that showed everybody, holy crap, this guy really is in it to win it. This guy is the man. Including his history with AEW and when he went away. And, that was a great story too. But no, I don't know. I think Kevin Owens at this point, the best position for him is the Triple H of the company. And I think there's people who would die to have the Triple H role in the company. I'm talking about the traditional, whatever it is, 1999 to, whatever, 2014 or whatever Triple H, who was like always positioned as like top bad guy, that Triple H. Mm-hmm. I think that right there, but that's not face of the company. Face of the company is like the dude who's dressed in the American flag every week.
Well, yeah, that's historically kind of been the case in WWE since mid-80s.
Yeah. The Roman thing it's funny because you're absolutely right about the Roman thing, but it is kind of interesting that like that's Roman. It's so funny. It's so wild, and I don't want to get too much of a tangent. But like if you like just look at pictures of Roman from like 2016, and you look at pictures of Roman now, it's like he's a different person.
I know.
And I'm not just talking about the teeth.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The confidence level is so much higher 2020 onwards as opposed to before.
Yeah, because he knows what he's doing is good.
He knows what he's doing is good, and he knows how the crowd's going to react.
Yeah.
Goes a long way.
Anyways, what's the next hot take?
Phoenix here says, rehiring Tessa Blanchard is the most TNA thing TNA has done since the Dixie Carter era ended, and it will risk its relationship with WWE. So for that last aspect of it, Meltzer said something kind of interesting the other day.
Ooh, what did he say?
Regarding Tessa's hiring, which is a terrible idea. I don't know why TNA's doing it.
I don't know either.
I don't know. These transcripts come from PW Mania. Dave said this. I mean, it could, regarding Tessa's rehiring at TNA, I mean, it could just be a favor for WWE. This is speculation. I mean, the idea is that she's in TNA for a while, and there's no big backlash or anything. They could bring her to WWE because there are women in WWE who want to work with her. There may be some who don't, but I know there's some who do. And she's very controversial for all the reasons that everybody knows, and it's kind of like a test thing,
You think that's speculation on his part, not
Yeah,
like...
it is.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. Look, if as with everything, time will tell. Like, we've got our opinions on the topic. If there's any truth to the Jordynne Grace stuff, in terms of Jordynne Grace, it's been reported or rumored that she had no desire to work with Tessa, which, number one, is incredibly smart on Jordan's part. Just because, like, dude, until there's been, like, you would think that until there's been, like, some sort of, very public. I know that her and I think it was Rosa. What was her name? The one that she had allegedly said those things to.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
They've like taken pictures together. Apparently, sort of like an indication that they're like okay. But there was like a bunch of other people in the industry that had been like, oh yeah, no, she's no good, and I don't know, like. Until there is some sort of like reckoning on that in terms of like an apology or something that indicates that there is, a change in her heart and philosophy and mind and all that kind of stuff. It's difficult to buy in to the Tessa Blanchard character.
Yep.
It's like knowing what happens in real life kind of informs how you perceive the person, on camera. And so, whether or not that's going to, given that I feel like obviously a lot of people who pay close attention to wrestling knows this stuff, the broader audience might not.
Mm-hmm.
And so Meltzer's right. Like if there's no significant backlash and she proves to be a draw, then I could see this going down a path where she ends up in WWE. I could see that happening.
I suppose it's a possibility.
Yeah. It is a very TNA thing. Like I don't why would you do this? Like in terms of like, hey, we want buzz.
Well, here's the thing: is that I feel like prior to re-signing Tessa, TNA had some momentum. Like they were selling more tickets. There wasn't I wouldn't necessarily say there was a buzz about TNA, but it felt like they had some momentum. Maybe not a ton, but some. And then after it was announced that they're bringing her back, and then she made her return at the last pay-per-view.
Yeah,
it's like whatever goodwill the company had engendered over the last 11 months. It's kind of pissed away.
I mean, yeah, when you look at, in any event, when you look at the online reaction, which, hey, you could even debate whether that matters a damn. It's largely negative because it's not like, oh, wow, this is crazy. It's why would they do that?
Yeah.
That's generally the sentiment that I've seen online.
Well, I think the why would they do that is because it seemed like things were going good for them. That's kind of like the vibe I got.
Continue that thought.
Well, like things are
going good. So
TNA. So why bring in somebody who could put a halt to the momentum they've established over the course of this year?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were speaking to the answer as to why they're going to do this.
Oh, no. I'm speaking to the online reaction about questioning why they're doing this.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're doing this. I mean, if Meltzer's speculating they're doing this as a favor to WWE.
Oh, put a stop to, I don't know. Yeah, I think
that seems...
The context has got to be missing there with what he's saying. That's got to be...
That doesn't add up to me.
No, it doesn't. It is a very TNA thing, though. TNA thing. It's and I don't even know who's running it there now.
I have no idea.
I don't know what the scenario is there. Man, I don't want to dog the company, but it's like If they've been selling more, great. I did see something about them offering like lower offers to the wrestlers, and so
Yeah,
some
they're
are
asking
like
people
leaving
to
now.
take pay cuts. Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on over there. There's been nothing that's going on over there that has made me be like, oh, this is cool. Ever since Ed Edwards was a werewolf, but now apparently he's like slapping fans. So I don't know. None of it is interesting to me from a creative standpoint. And if that changes, great. Like, I'm sure some of the wrestling there is still really good, but like, I don't know, nothing that they've done since. And even when Scott D'Amore was there, it was like, oh, he seems cool and he knows how to manage a roster, but there was nothing going on there that was like so overwhelming. Like, oh wow, creatively speaking, they're doing something really interesting here. People are getting paid there, and that's awesome. And they've got their fans, and that's good for them. But I don't know what the point of this is. I really don't.
I don't either. I have no idea why. Nope.
Anyways, so we've got a couple sponsors for the show this week, Larson. So why don't we go ahead and talk about that?
Let's do it. This episode of Going In Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp. Steve,
Yes.
It's cozy season, and few things are better this time of year than curling up on the couch, wrapped up in a blanket, while sipping a cup of tea or maybe some hot chocolate.
That's right, man. And if you're looking for long-lasting comfort, regardless of the season, therapy can help you get there. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try.
Therapy helped me learn the tools I needed to better cope with severe anxiety back in my mid-20s. But back then, in like the early 2000s, I had to get in my car and drive to my therapist's office for my appointments. Not necessarily the most convenient. BetterHelp is entirely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you got to do to get started is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
So find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
And let's take a break here and get a word from the sponsor of today's show, Tecovas. Steve, I got to admit, the holidays this year, they got me feeling a bit nostalgic about Christmases past. And I remember one year, I think I got a pair of Western boots. Maybe when I was like 6 or 7, and I used to wear those boots all the time. But I don't think adult Larson could possibly pull off wearing boots like that now.
No, totally not, because like you're a grown adult now. Your feet are way too large now for that. You couldn't wear those boots still. But I do think you could totally rock some Western boots from Tecovas. Tecovas crafts quality Western boots for everybody, from ranchers to cowboys to first-time boot buyers like yourself. Every pair of Tecovas boots are handcrafted with over 200 steps for broken-in comfort, so they're going to feel right out of the box. Plus, the reviews for Tecovas are off the charts. Reviewer after reviewer mentions that they fit great, they're comfortable, and easy to put on. Heck, Esquire said in their review, there's a reason we keep coming back to Tecovas. And with Tecovas Best in the West guarantee, you get free returns and exchanges for 30 days.
Sounds like I owe it to my feet to pull on a pair of Tecovas. Right now, get 10% off at tecovas.com/raw when you sign up for email and texts. That's 10% off at tecovas.com/raw. Tecovas.com/raw. See site for details. Tecovas. Point your toes west.
Anyways, let's move on with these hot takes here, Larson.
Let's do it.
Next up, from Pins of the Father.
Hey, that's clever.
Yeah. Says, WWE has forgotten how to book compelling champions. There's literally only one good championship reign in WWE currently going. Across Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, the only title reign that has been at all effective is Roxanne Perez. Every other title reign has suffered from a lack of compelling stories, a lack of drama, and a lack of unpredictability. Well, the real world's champion, Kevin Owens, right now, a fairly compelling champion, in my opinion.
Well, I don't think he's an officially recognized champion, Steve. He's
Ah,
a champion who has crowned themselves champion.
all right. So
let's go down the line. So Cody, a common criticism, and it's one we see basically every week when we do hot takes.
yeah,
Cody's title reign has been bland.
yeah, right, yeah,
So it's a relatively common sentiment.
yeah.
Gunther, sorry, go ahead.
You're right. It is a common sentiment. Yeah.
I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just
Right,
saying
yeah,
it's
yeah.
common
We're
sense.
trying to get consensus here. You're right. Yeah.
I don't
Same can
know.
be said about Gunther, sure.
Gunther, I don't know how popular the kind of dimension to his character they've been trying to add, the crisis of confidence, that span of a month and a half when he was just trolling everybody.
We've had a lot of comments that say this title reign isn't as good as the Intercontinental Championship reign. So again, yeah.
Again, a lot of criticism about, at this point, the Liv Rhea feud, about how it's kind of run out of steam. It seems like within the next month or so, they're going to have their title match. Rhea will probably win that.
Agreed.
Over on SmackDown, I don't know if it's necessarily the most dramatic, but I at least appreciate that around Nia, they have a lot of people who can contend for her title. And then you add Tiffany with the briefcase to the mix. That might be the most interesting title scene right now, at least on main roster.
Well, dude, let's just stick to what we were doing in the first place. Is just, we get a lot of questions and hot takes and whatnot, and we keep our eye kind of on the internet wrestling community. I haven't heard anybody say that her reign has been boring.
Mm-mm.
I've heard people say, she's no good in the ring and stuff like that. But I haven't heard any complaints about her actual title run in the same way that we've heard that about everybody else's. So I think Nia, I look, I'll be honest with you, everybody that we mentioned so far, I've found various degrees of interest in. The only one that I would have considered bland, I guess, would have probably been Judgment Day, because they just never, in terms of the tag division, they didn't, they were just accoutrements. They just didn't do much with the tag division. So they weren't doing anything with the titles. So I would probably dock that one and say that hasn't been a compelling thing.
And popular sentiment would agree with you on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The SmackDown tag division,
it's been better of late.
It has been better of late. I think there was some excitement over the Motor City Machine Guns. I think people are waiting to see what this Ciampa bad guy Gargano situation is. Intercontinental scene, Braun Breaker, I don't know. People seem to like Braun Breaker,
Mm-hmm. Nakamura just won the U.S. title. At least from a character perspective, they're doing something interesting there. Will that translate to interesting stories? Yet to be seen. And
that is fresh. So, you can look at the LA Knight title scene. I heard some people say, oh, yeah, they should do something with that because they're not really doing much with it. I don't know. It's wrestling as a champion who puts it up on the line and people challenge for it. Is anybody in a compelling story right now? I don't think that's relegated to champions. I think there's a handful of actual compelling stories in the promotion, and then everything else is just sort of either people do cool shit like CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, now CM Punk and Seth Rollins, where it's hey, they're just sort of out there doing cool shit. Or, they're doing the Intercontinental and the U.S. Women's Championship tournament stuff where it's hey, we're just, vying for. So I don't know. I don't think anything's especially boring these days. I'll be honest though. I wouldn't put Roxanne in NXT. Yeah, the North American title is just sort of a thing for the women right now. That's it's not like Fallon Henley's doing wonders with that. But I thought Kalani Jordan was a good North American champion. Mm-hmm. Who's the men's North American champion?
Tony D'Angelo. Your dude.
Yeah. NXT is just what it is. I don't know. I'm not really bored by any of it, to be honest with you. The men's tag division, I was always bored with because they didn't do shit with it.
Yeah.
Another
hot take here about WWE champions from Cameron Bort says WWE has too many heel champions. The only face champions they have are Cody, who's a steel chair to win at Saturday Night Main Event, and Bianca and Naomi, who one or both are probably going to turn heel because they took out Jade.
Braun's not a bad guy. He's a mean guy.
He's a tweener right now.
He doesn't cheat to win. He doesn't duck fights. He's just an asshole.
Yeah, but sometimes if you're a heel, if you're just mean.
Yeah, no, I get it. But people really like Braun Breaker.
Yeah, I don't think they're positioning Braun strictly as a heel. I think he's very much in tweener territory. Yeah.
Yeah, he beat a heel last night on Raw.
Yeah.
Like a real heel, Ludwig.
And he wrestled that match from underneath as a babyface, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the mid? Oh yeah. So Shinsuke, he's a total heel, but that just happened. They had a face champion.
Yeah.
They got new face champions with the tag champions on Raw.
Yeah.
Bad guy champions on SmackDown, so it sort of evens out.
Mm-hmm.
Gunther's kind of like a tweener too. Like, what heel has a crisis of confidence?
Yeah, I know.
You know?
I know.
So I don't know. There's just no good guys, no bad guys. They're just
characters now. They're just characters.
What's the problem with that? If they did have too many heel champions, what's the problem with that?
That means you got a lot of baby faces chasing the heel champs.
Sorry, what I meant, like, did he expand in the question at all?
No, I read the question exactly how it was written.
I mean, what was the second part though? He said too many bad guy champions, and then what?
So too many heel champions. The only face champs they have are Cody and Bianca and Naomi. It mentions one or both are going to turn heel because one or both of them took out Jade.
Oh, that's it. Okay, yeah. What's wrong with that? All heel champions, I'm okay with that.
As long as they're interesting characters and they're telling interesting stories.
Yeah, which the last guy said they're not.
Yeah. Diehard Homer here says, Jey Uso, yeet. Should win a world title by the end of next year. He's one of the most over acts in the entire company. Doesn't need to be a super long reign, but it'd be a nice capper for his story. I 1,000% agree with this one. Next year, Jey Uso should win the world title.
Did you happen to see, how many thumbs up did this one get?
I didn't notice.
All right, let's see if I can find out. Because this, in my mind, is a cold take. Because I agree with this.
Yeah.
He's like, honestly, the hottest guy on the freaking roster that isn't like CM Punk. Only one thumbs up for Diehard Homer. Man, yeah, this deserves more because... And I know there's like a bit of a disconnect between the IWC and like the real people in the world.
Yeah.
Because the real people love this guy.
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah.
Absolutely love Jey Uso.
Yeah. I like Jey Uso a lot.
Yeah. World championship for him. WWE, the bummer thing is WWE might feel like, he doesn't need it. He's over regardless.
I know.
You know, but man, he already sells a ton of merch, you know? Yeah.
Eastside Reviews, hot take.
Hot.
Triple H is just bad at booking women. Whether he has a lot on his plate or not, dude is not booking the women well. Get help.
Oh, wow. Get help, Triple H. It's like the Michael Jordan gif.
There have definitely been periods where the creative in the women's division has not been good since he's taken over. I think what's going on SmackDown right now is at least interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of people kind of, again, around the vicinity of the women's title there. And I don't know if the Who Attacked Jade storyline is going to play in that at all.
He loves mystery attackers, huh?
He does. He loves
he
loves pull apart brawls.
Larson
mystery attackers.
Yeah. Does it surprise you at all that one of the top heels, maybe the top heel the past 20 years, knows how to book heels really well? Maybe there's a reason why most of the champions, like that last dude said, are heels. Because, like, look at Face Bailey as a champion. Talk about boring. Talk about not compelling. Couldn't find anything for her.
Anything with Face.
How do you make Cody more interesting? Give him a little heel tendency.
Yeah.
You know? I think the dude just knows how to book heels. I think heels are easier to book because they're more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They're easier for the performers to perform as because they're more interesting. If you look at the whole Nia situation, you got like Tiffany Stratton, who traditionally is a heel, but I think they're trying to make her a face.
Yeah.
And you've got like other snakes in the grass. You got Candice, who's a bad guy now. So yeah, dude, I don't know. I think the dude just really enjoys and knows how to and inspired by the idea of a bad guy. And sometimes you got bad guys versus bad guys. He wants a whole company. Because often, dude, how often has it been like bad guys just get to do the cool shit? And I think that's one thing Triple H realizes. Sometimes wrestling is just people doing cool shit, and then it makes the crowd happy.
Yeah. Over on Raw, of course, there's been a lot of criticism about, we mentioned that earlier, the Liv Rhea story. Some people have said that the emphasis on Rhea is holding back the rest of the women's division on Raw. And I don't agree with that. I think it's just a lack of focus on everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with Rhea. You could tell compelling stories across the entirety of the division that doesn't involve titles if you put forth the energy to do it. And it's just that aspect of it's lacking. They just seemingly don't. Like, why is Pure Fusion Collective feuding with Damage Control? I don't know.
Oh, dude, they've said it's to be run the
Because they put them on
division.
notice? Is that why?
Yeah, I think it's like they're on notice and they want to make a statement and they
See,
want to
this
run
the
the
same-
women's division. They want to run the women's.
It's lazy creative. It's a feud. It's not a story.
Yeah.
They're just motivating matches as opposed to telling stories with narrative arcs, character development, so on and so forth.
Up and down the card. So here's the thing. I don't think Triple H doesn't know how to book women. I think that he knows how to book heels really well. And I hope my hope is that once they've got these mid-card titles, like Chelsea Green's always been a really compelling character, largely because she knows how to take anything and run with it. But I feel like once these mid-card titles become a thing, once you see the mystery attacker storyline start to play out, you'll see Triple H booking. Like, he knows how. It's just sometimes he lets. We said this before, like he'll book all in on sagas, and right now, like Nia Jax is sort of developing her own saga, so you're seeing a lot more like of the women get some interesting stuff on SmackDown, and ideally he can do the same thing on Raw. You know,
yeah, I hope so. I hope there's especially after Rhea beats Liv, you know, that storyline reaches conclusion, then hopefully move on to some more interesting stories that involve a lot more women in the division. That'd be great.
Here's one that's kind of a preview for next week, because next week we're going to be doing hot takes all about the year 2024.
Correct.
This one right here is from Tired Bonus Dad, and he says, the bidding war of 2024 will go down as one of the biggest missed storylines in all of wrestling. MJF could have had his own Summer of Punk, but we got another ugly tattoo instead. I forgot about the tattoo. Oh my God, that's right. He did the tattoo thing.
He got the tattoo on his calf, yeah.
That was so cheesy.
So, imagine if they tied in the idea that he could leave with the title at World's End last year, you know? Up the drama.
Yeah.
You know, once Adam Cole got hurt, I know they wanted to do something with this Devil storyline. Tony Khan was intent on not giving up on it. Pivot to a storyline that isn't quite as all over the place. Very streamlined thing.
Do you think the original MJF bidding war of 2024 got muddied because he wanted more money now? And he was forced into signing an extension that completely obliterated the 2024 thing.
Oh yeah, it's because he signed a new deal, and therefore there would be no bidding war of 2024.
In what, like 2022, right? I think, is that what it was?
Wasn't the same thing where he got a raise, but it didn't add more years on or something like that?
I don't remember.
And then he signed another deal?
Something like that. But I don't think his contract was ever up in 2024. I think that's like it originally was.
Yeah.
But then I think he had some like negotiate. That's my guess. But it's like, yeah, dude, that could have been a really good storyline. Look, not everything's got to be a work shoot. Like you can take something that was real, his contract coming up, and then if that is not a thing anymore, just don't tell anybody, and then you keep it a thing in storyline.
Just run with it.
Yeah, just run with it. No, what you're saying is exactly right. The World's End last year would have been perfect. Yeah, it was, because he talked about it so much. All
the time for a while.
And then didn't he try to retcon and say that like, oh yeah, WWE did come calling, and instead I bet on myself or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he came back, he did the whole I bet on myself, and that's why he got the tattoo, and he's going to be around for a while longer. Yeah.
Yeah. Easily hiding tattoo, easily hideable.
Yeah, that was a drop. That was a missed opportunity. Ball drop there.
Yeah.
Dark Dank Lucha here says Orange Cassidy should have been AEW's main player in their 5-year history, not Hangman Adam Page.
Oh my God, that's sizzling hot because it is really wrong. I was gonna say something more rude. I was going to say you're ridiculous, but I didn't. Yeah, no, dude, I'm sorry, but the performer Hangman Adam Page has nailed this from the beginning through December 17th, 2024 when we're filming this. He has nailed it, and the story has been laid out perfectly, both from where he was coming from a real-world professional standpoint, the characters that he's interacted with. I'm not going to say that everything has been perfect, but if everything in AEW had been as good as Hangman Adam Page,
they'd be in better shape right now.
They'd be in a lot better shape, man. I love Orange Cassidy. I think he's great, but I don't think that he's displayed nearly the level of complexity as Hangman Adam Page.
Jake Jones here says Sami Zayn was the wrong person to defeat Gunther at WrestleMania.
Who's the right one? Who is going to say who the right one was?
You know, if Jey Uso wasn't feuding with his brother, it should have been Jey Uso.
Ooh, at Mania. Ooh,
yeah.
Wow.
Should have been Jey. But
that's a good point.
He was feuding with Jimmy, so it wasn't going to happen. Therefore, Gunther should have just won. And then Jey should have beat him at SummerSlam. Do this. This is what you do. You have everything go as it happened, except Gunther retains at Mania. He wins King of the Ring, but he's got to do double duty at SummerSlam.
Ooh.
He's got to defend the Intercontinental title against Jey, and then challenge Damian Priest for the World title.
Oh wow!
Jey beats him, and then
first.
Gunther beats Damian. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's a good take. I like that. That's an interesting way to go.
Because that's like ultimate hubris. Yeah, I could defend this title while still winning the world title.
I will say this. I feel like the Gable and Sami Zayn roles should have been reversed. Sami had won the Intercontinental Championship before, and then he lost it 4 months later. It wasn't that big of a deal for him. Like, I feel like even beating Gunther at WrestleMania, it was kind of an underwhelming thing, and it should have been a bigger deal. If Sami had gone through the ringer with Gunther and was like, look, I know how to do this. Just listen to me. Which is ironic because Gable's supposed to be the teacher guy.
Yeah.
And he teaches. But do you remember like the cheesy training shit with Gable and Zayn?
Yeah.
It was just really silly. So, yeah, I kind of feel like it should have been, in my estimation, it should have been Gable.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Luis Ariza here says no one has benefited from a feud with MJF apart from MJF himself, and if anything, those who have feuded with him have to build themselves up back to level where they were at the beginning. He held the title hostage when they prioritized the Ring of Honor titles that ended up bearing Ring of Honor more than helping it.
What, the tag titles?
Yeah.
Man, those things never meant a damn anyways. MJF.
Remember when MJF beat the Righteous by himself?
We would never have gotten that. Larson, I swear to God, dude, that was one of my favorite moments of all time. He literally shoved that dude's head in the other guy's ass.
Yeah.
He killed that team.
Yeah, he did.
Absolutely killed them. If I was what are their name? Dutch was one of them.
Vincent.
And Vincent. I just said, look, doesn't work for me, brother. Doesn't work for me, brother.
That's what Luis is talking about here. He's got MJF. Yeah, you're AEW champion taking on, top contending team from Ring of Honor and beats him himself, shoves one head up the other dude's butt.
Yeah.
It's not a good look for Ring of Honor.
All right. So did Daniel Garcia get helped? I think Daniel Garcia got helped by the MJF thing. Didn't he lose?
Yeah, he lost.
Yeah, but he's TNT champion now.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm just looking at the other. Do you think MJF beating Hiroshi Tanahashi helped Hiroshi Tanahashi back?
No,
in
I think Go Ace's legacy was already well cemented before.
I think you're probably right about that. Who else is he feud? What are other?
He feuded with Ospreay, but the result was the same as it was before he feuded with Ospreay, and that Ospreay was international champion. It didn't. I don't know if it really elevated Ospreay or not. It helped elevate Ospreay because he was already basically one of the top guys in the company.
Yeah. It's AEW.
The one feud
weird like that, though.
The one feud I could say that everybody benefited from that MJF was involved in was the CM Punk feud.
Was the Punk feud? Yeah, everybody came out of that good.
It gave Punk one of his best feuds, best stories in AEW, and it offered MJF an opportunity to add dimension to his character.
How often, though, does MJF get into a feud with somebody who actually needs to be elevated, though? Like,
know that
I
doesn't
was
happen
looking at
very
his
often.
cage match. They always have him in with veterans. He was Samoa Joe, Mox, Jericho, Punk. Like,
I know, if anything, he's in the feud to be the one to be elevated.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's like, I don't know, what can being in a feud with MJF do for John Moxley? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not a Samoa Joe. Not a lot.
No. I mean, I guess maybe if the idea of the Pillars 4-way match was to try to elevate the other 3 pillars.
I don't think anybody really got elevated by that.
No, and part of that too is just Tony Khan's issues with maintaining momentum for people.
Oh, and I wouldn't put this on MJF because
No, not at
after
all.
the feud, and the same thing with Jericho. Like, I know people like to crap on him, but like, people are always like, oh, the Jericho Vortex or the Jericho Black Hole or whatever we used to call it.
Vortex,
Like,
he calls it the Vortex.
okay. Like, Tony Khan's the booker.
Yeah.
Like, after you get out of a thing with a person, you got to then, like, it's not that Jericho ain't booking that. You put him in a higher spot.
Yeah.
So.
I got one more hot take here from
Hot.
Dan, Nerd Cube.
Oh, Nerd Cubed. The original third man, brother.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Hottest take. Steve doesn't have a belt collecting problem. He should buy more.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. Yeah. If that NWO Wolfpack one,
Nah.
you know, if
Get
that,
the
if
autograph Cody one. Cody's your dude.
oh, dude, I forgot to tell you this. I was gonna make a little Wrestle Juice short about it, but I'll
Did you do it?
here.
Did you buy it?
I'll do it both. No. But last night, while I was sitting there watching Storage Wars, I got a phone call. Yeah, there's like a channel of all Storage Wars on the Samsung TV thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, I landed on it. Me and Lacey were watching it. It was, I don't know, pretty interesting. But I was watching. I got a phone call. I was like, I don't know what this is. So I typed in the number in the search, right? And it came up with like an executive manager of Fanatics WWE division trying to personally sell me some merchandise.
You're a Fanatics high roller.
I guess I am. Yeah, and then the same guy sent a follow-up email with like, "Hey, we've got these new items in stock here, including the Cody Championship. They have a signed version of the Punk title for $150 more than I bought it for. So that's how much Phil's autograph is, $150.
Wow.
And the Cody went, "No, listen. Here's the deal. I always loved the idea of like alternate versions of stuff. You know, like when I was a kid, I would, you know me, I was a big fan of those little mask action figures and in toys. And like, I remember going to a store one day, like in Milton Keynes, and they had like an alt version, like a differently painted version of like the figures. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. They're different colors.
Yeah.
And so that's why I love the Signature Series stuff. I just think like the variations, the alt versions of them are just so interesting and really cool. And design wise, they always do a good job most of the time anyways. I like that. I am already lukewarm on the Winged Eagle title. I have less than zero desire to collect the signature or autograph of anybody. Nobody. Don't give a shit if somebody put pen to object and then I own that object. Don't need it. Don't care about it. I like cool looking shit. And that is it.
Now, what if they did the special edition Winged Eagle Cody specific belt plus autograph?
I'm not going to, I would rather pay $150 less for Cody not to have signed it and get it.
It's either nothing or autograph. But if it's like, in your estimation, the most beautiful title ever created.
I would definitely have to think about it. But like a Winged Eagle, beautiful thing. Cody,
Yeah, I mean, it's the best looking belt ever. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. But like, if you Cody it up, like it's just going to be a bunch of American flag bullshit. What do I
probably.
care about that? I don't care about that. Give me beautiful blue, red, and gunmetal or whatever that, you know, the darker silver is. Over
Pewter?
here. Yeah, pewter. I don't know what it is. It's beautiful, though. It's not pewter. God, it's gorgeous, though. And it spins and everything. And the general aesthetic of CM Punk, I've always loved.
Yeah, Cody's merch is generally pretty ugly.
It's gnarly.
Yeah.
I mean, if they had like his stupid logo like as a spinner, it'd be that's kind of cool. I'd honestly if, but they wouldn't do that because like Cody didn't have the spinner title.
No,
Punk
never
did.
Yeah.
Now they do a network title, and if it was all duded out, but again, it would just look like an American flag version, like boring. If somebody crafted one, I would consider it. I would not pay $150 over what it should cost because they put his title, his signature on it.
Yeah. Well, not they. He signed it, not somebody. Unless he's
they
got
would
an
have
auto pen
him
doing it.
They would have him do it.
Yeah.
Is the point.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, there you go. Dan, look, I'm down for more titles. That dude in Pakistan who made the NWO one, almost there. Just make it a Wolfpack one, but it has to have that little Wolfpack speaker in it, so you spin it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, and I don't care if that's a spinner. That doesn't make any sense. Seems like an entire shop on eBay has nothing but spinner titles, which is great. I'm gonna get a WrestleJuice spinner title.
That's cool. I like the idea of the Wolfpack one. You play the tune, and then you could take the spinner and then scratch it.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be sick. Dun, dun, dun.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate it. Until next time. We'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.